This show was maybe 2 years in the making, and it involved going out on site both in areas around Sedona and Winslow with the help of guides, because these were very isolated areas. And after photographing these sites, I went back and did quite a bit of work in the studio. The pigments that I use in doing these thin layers are actually made up of the minerals that are found in the rock. The red oxides, the ochres, all of these come from rock. And so there is a connection there between the rocks and how I'm recreating my vision of what the rocks are really like. And I suppose, although I'm not a geologist or anything, I suppose it also is relative to how rocks are formed in these layers over time. I think that not knowing what they mean has a real relationship to the abstract work that I do, because I will go from figurative to abstract, and I'm on both sides of the fence as far as imagery goes. And with abstraction, you have to put your own interpretation onto what you see on the wall. And with these petroglyphs, the images that you see have that in common with abstraction. You can have hunches as to what you think they mean, but you don't really know, and I like that open-ended quality. I have no real idea of why I'm so connected to rocks, but this has been going on for a good 50 years. I've been painting rocks since 1958, 1960. And for quite a long time I lived in Toronto in hard rock country, so there was plenty of granite, there were plenty of lichens, and to me, rocks have very organic, very abstract shapes. So that probably is part of the appeal of rocks to me. The idea of making art was a very early inspiration to me. Probably by the time I was 5 or 6, I was pretty much set to do that. And I started out with blocks and crayons and the usual childhood materials. And I over the years, just got more and more involved. And by high school, I was definitely on my way to experimenting with a lot of different materials. I have always been interested in community involvement, and along with making art, sharing that has always been a big part of my whole experience in the art field. And so art education and teaching art has always gone hand in hand with creating art. And since I'm very experimental and constantly looking for new solutions to design problems, sharing that has always been a real joy for me. I have a number of workshops that I do, and students that have been with me for years. And to my mind, art education is very much an individual and private kind of growing experience. And I'll encourage any student that I have to use a basic toolkit that I can show them as far as what materials can do. But after I show them the tools, my job is to back off and let them go on their own exploration. the journey that my students go on, the creative journey, is even more fascinating to me than doing the actual work myself, because watching creativity is just a powerful thing. It's just amazing. And I'm sure it happens in other fields as well. It must be across the board, just the whole creative process. I'm very impressed with the museum here, Matarango. It is, it's such a, the feel of this museum is so tied into the community. It feels almost like a central part of the community, and I was very impressed with the opening. The number of people that came out to support the museum. It's you know, it's a very unusual type of museum, I think. Actually, with this body of work, hiring guides and going out on sites and into the canyons was such a unique and kind of a spiritual thing that it was unlike any experience that I've had before. I tend to work in series of art images, but this particular series was a totally different thing, and I honestly don't know what was more important to me, the actual being on site and looking at these images, or coming back and creating them from the photographs and the videos and all of that. But I felt a real responsibility in getting it right with this series.